The cafe lights were dim that night, rain tapping softly against the window glass. She sat by herself in a corner booth, stirring the same cup of coffee she'd ordered an hour ago. The chair across from her stayed empty. Her phone silent. No calls. No messages, no one coming. She had told herself she didn't mind being alone, that it was better this way. No expectations, no disappointments. But the truth was, it ached. The laughter from other tables made the quiet louder, every clink of a spoon. A reminder that she was invisible. She sighed, brushing a tear quickly before anyone could see. Then the door opened, the bell above it chiming. A man stepped in, shaking rain from his jacket, a little girl clutching his hand. Her hair was in messy braids. Her pink rain boots squeaked as she giggled. "Daddy, it's warm in here." He smiled, guiding her toward the counter as they ordered hot chocolate and 2 slices of pie. When they turned to look for a seat, the cafe was full, except for the one across from her. He glanced around, then caught her eye, his smile apologetic. "Mind if we sit here? It's just us tonight." She hesitated, then nodded. "Of course, please." They settled in, the little girl swinging her legs under the table, grinning as she bit into her pie. The man smiled at her softly. "Thank you, it's been a long day." She returned the smile. "You too, huh?" He nodded. "You could say that." "My daughter wanted to celebrate, even though we didn't have much to celebrate." She turned to the girl. "What's the occasion?" The girl grinned proudly. "Daddy got a new job." He tried to hush her laughing, but she added louder, "He said it's not big, but I think it's huge." The woman chuckled, warmth creeping into her chest. "That sounds like something worth celebrating." Looked at her a little closer, noticing the weariness behind her smile. "You look like you needed company tonight." She froze for a second, then admitted quietly, "Maybe I did." The little girl hummed softly as she drew shapes in the fogged window, her laughter spilling like tiny sparks through the quiet cafe. The woman watched her for a moment, smiling, before turning back to the man across the table. He looked tired in a gentle way, like someone who'd fought too many quiet battles, but still managed to smile through them. She asked softly, "What kind of job did you get?" He laughed under his breath, pouring sugar into his coffee. "The kind that pays just enough to keep the lights on. Construction work, small projects, nothing fancy." She nodded. "I think there's a special kind of pride in work that keeps things standing." He looked up at her, eyes surprised. "You sound like someone who understands." She smiled faintly. "I do. My dad was a carpenter. He used to say the same thing." He leaned back, studying her for a moment. "And what about you? What do you do?" She laughed quietly, stirring her cup again. "I work in marketing, meetings, presentations, and pretending I have my life together." He grinned. "Sounds exhausting." "It is," she said softly. Little girl piped up. "Suddenly Daddy says people who sit alone at night are just waiting for the right person to notice them." Both adults turned to her and laughed. The man shook his head. "She says the most inconvenient things." The woman smiled. "That might be the smartest thing I've heard all week." The air between them grew lighter, the space no longer heavy with loneliness. They talked for a long time about little things, music, the weather, the kind of dreams you whisper when you think no one's listening. And somewhere between his laughter and her quiet smile, she realized she hadn't looked at the clock once. When the cafe began to close, the man reached for his wallet, but she stopped him. "Please," she said softly. "Let me. I haven't had a night this kind in a long time." He hesitated, then nodded, smiling. "Thank you, but only if you let me walk you to your car." She agreed, and as they stepped outside, the rain had softened to a mist. The little girl ran ahead, spinning under a streetlight, while they stood under the awning watching her. He turned to her after a moment. "You looked so alone when we walked in. I'm glad we sat here." She smiled, looking up at him. "So am I." A week passed, but the warmth of that night lingered in her mind like the aftertaste of something sweet. She caught herself smiling at random moments, remembering the way the little girl's laughter filled the cafe. How the father's voice had softened when he said, "I'm glad we sat here." On Friday evening, she walked into the same cafe again, the rain outside tapping softly against the windows just like before. The same booth was empty, and she almost laughed at how her heart hoped for something she didn't dare admit. She ordered her coffee and sat down, trying not to look at the door. Then the bell chimed. She looked up, and there they were. The little girl spotted her first, her eyes lighting up. "Daddy, look. It's the lady from the rainy night." He turned surprised and then smiled, the same tired but gentle smile from before. Guess the universe liked that table too. They sat together again without hesitation this time. No awkwardness, no need for permission. It felt natural, like a continuation, not a coincidence. The little girl chatted about her week. At school, how she got a gold star for helping a classmate tie their shoes. The woman listened, laughing quietly, while the man watched them both with a kind of gratitude that words couldn't hold. "You're good with her," he said softly. "Most people talk to kids like they're small. You talk like she matters." She looked at him, meeting his eyes. "She does, everyone does. We just forget to show it sometimes." He smiled, that quiet half-smile again. "I think you remind people how to remember that." She tilted her head, studying him. "You always this kind?" He laughed. "Not always. I just try to be better than I was yesterday." They stayed past closing again, talking about everything and nothing, until the cafe lights dimmed. The little girl fell asleep. Against her father's arm, her small hand still holding a napkin she'd been doodling on. He looked down at her and whispered, "She hasn't smiled this much in months." "Thank you for that." The woman smiled softly. "It's funny you say that, I haven't." Either. He looked up, meeting her eyes, the space between them quiet but full of something real, something unspoken. The cafe was nearly empty when they finally stood to leave, the chairs stacked, the lights low, the rain now just a whisper outside. The man adjusted his daughter's small jacket as she slept against his shoulder, her tiny fingers curled in his shirt. The woman picked up the napkin she had been doodling on earlier, realizing the little girl had drawn 3 stick figures, holding hands beneath a single umbrella. She smiled quietly, tucking it into her purse like something too precious to lose. They stepped outside. The streetlight flickered across the wet pavement. He hesitated for a moment, then turned to her. "You know," he said, "I almost didn't come tonight. I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to be working late." She looked at him, curious. "So what made you come?" He smiled softly. "My daughter said she wanted to see if the lonely lady found her smile yet. She said maybe we could help if she hadn't." Her chest tightened, her eyes stinging. "I think she did find it," she whispered. He smiled. "I thought so." They walked together to her car, the world around them quiet and silver from the rain. He stood there a moment, shifting, his daughter gently against his chest. "I don't know when our paths crossed," he said, "but I'm glad they did. She nodded me too, more than you know." He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small paper star, the kind kids make from candy wrappers. "Come. Made this for you," he said, smiling. "It's her good luck charm. She said you need it for when you feel alone again." She took it carefully, her hand trembling. "I'll keep it always." They stood there for a long breath before saying goodnight, neither wanting to leave, but both knowing something had already changed. The loneliness that once filled her life didn't feel so heavy anymore. It felt like rain, something that passes when kindness stands beside it. She watched them walk away, the little girl's sleepy head resting on her father's shoulder, their figures fading into the mist, and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel forgotten. She felt found. If this story moved, you share it, so others never forget that one selfless act can rewrite a destiny in ways no one sees coming.